let's see how this goes. Okay, so welcome back, guys, to our third Sci-Fi on Ice meeting, and today we're going to discuss the book called Waterclap by Isaac Asimov. And do we need any introduction of who's here? Do you guys want to say who you are and tell me that you've read the book?
No.
Okay,
I am Mr. Bergen.
you're Mr. Berg. That's the character. That's the character from the book.
And I am the lady.
The lady.
Mrs. Bergen.
All right. Well, good
And
luck.
Matt?
That leaves you as Mr. Demarest.
Yeah.
Well, incidentally his first name is Stephen, and I'm Stephen, and I can roll with that. So, okay. So we read the book Waterclap. It's about a man from the moon who goes down to the deep ocean on a mission to do something. So we find out that he's there's been an incident on his moon planet, the moon, where 20 people die, and so the story starts where he goes on I don't even know how to pronounce it, a blethiscape. Is that it?
Yeah. I was saying it's Scaife.
Scape, yeah, like I want to say a submarine, basically, but
Yeah, I didn't quite understand what you meant by
Like a
gondola.
balloon underwater.
yeah, the picture of this transportation machine sort of emerges as you read through it, so you realize what you're on. You know, there's words like gondola and these sort of what are the
It's kind of
things?
like Hindenburg.
Yeah, what are those weights called? Like the things that pull it down, and then if you release it, then it'll go back up.
An anchor?
Ballast?
A ballast. That's it. And okay, so our man Demarest, he goes down to an underwater city with this it's described as this dome underwater, and you find out early on that he's on a mission, right? And so it's like, okay, and so then he meets the folks, and they have a discussion about their two different worlds: the moon, the lunar city, and is it called Deep Ocean?
Yeah.
The city underneath, and then actually, we're already
The city of Atlantis.
yeah, okay, yeah, city of Atlantis, and so then they have a discussion, and things get tense because he's obviously on a mission, and then until it gets to the he pulls out his gun and he's gonna shoot his host.
Laser beam.
Sorry, yeah, his homemade laser beam. That he's going to destroy the city, and it's gonna be engulfed in water rather than flames, I guess. And then the money from Earth is, instead of going to be used to develop deep ocean, it's going to go to the moon to help their cause. So it's sort of it's a mission of words and money, and
Ideal.
he ends up being unsuccessful. Unfortunately there's no explosion, there's no shooting.
Unfortunately.
I mean, it's not a bad ending, but you kind of build.
She's pregnant.
Well, I mean, it's like Chekhov's gun, right? You've got a gun literally in the story, and it doesn't get fired, and so you're sort of left hanging, like, like what, like, and to that point,
Maybe that's a gender difference. I don't mind if guns don't go off.
yeah, and I mean, so it's not a terrible ending, and we'll get there, but you sort of wanted it a little bit. I was sort of left hanging on some things, but we'll come to that, and so yeah, so in the end, yeah, he doesn't succeed in his mission, and he's left at the end of the story as a prisoner in a deep ocean, and so that's the basic plot.
He leaves the story asleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's asleep.
Yeah.
He's going to go sleep with the fishes.
Oh right.
No, he's just asleep.
but
Appreciate
literally.
you.
Okay. And so I guess yeah, how did you guys? What was your take? As in, did you like it? And what did you think of the story?
Dean?
I enjoyed it. It was a welcome change from the previous story. Not just because it was more than 7 pages, but there was all, you could all, they could develop the character a little bit more. Um,
Mm,
and then the story progressed quite nicely. It got to a turning point, and yeah, I quite enjoyed it.
right on, Sarah.
Yeah, no, I liked it. I think, yeah, as Dean said, sorry, what was your name again?
Mr.
um,
Bergen.
yeah, the
Come on, Mr. Bergen.
the characters were developed quite nicely. I think you saw some insights and some characteristics and quirks and things that made them a bit more real, a bit more personable. Um, I agree with you. Like the ending seemed a bit rushed, considering how much time was devoted to the build up.
Mm,
But then again, the build up is kind of fitting because it probably mirrored his own build up to do this. He's probably been thinking about this for months, and whenever that, I mean, probably prior to that incident, he's probably already had this grudge anyway. But they're just, yeah, it seemed a bit unbalanced in that respect. But yeah, I liked it. It was good. It was interesting.
yeah, I agree with a lot of that, and my take was that I liked it, but but there were I definitely had a lot of unanswered questions, thinking like, oh, but why this, and was this necessary? And in because obviously you find out that your guy is essentially the bad guy in this story. Obviously, he's dealing with conflict, and the way he goes about it just seems very regrettable, just offhand, and then you kind of left thinking like, well, you were never going to succeed, and if even if you did, like the greater cause of Lunar City, like if even if he did blow it up, and then Earth goes, oh yeah, no, well, Ocean Deep's no good. Yeah, we'll give all the money to the Moon people. The the idea that obviously that wouldn't have been a rewarding story. So, but obviously, like the story center is more about the divide between Lunar City and Ocean Deep, as in these two, I guess, distant places. One going deep in the ground and one into space on the moon. So okay, with that as my thoughts, actually, one thing I want to share with you guys is that, um, have you guys seen the movie Captain Nemo and the Underwater City?
No.
Nope.
Oh man, okay. That came to mind. There's because that has like a dome underwater city, and I don't know what year that's like. It's one of those oldie movies, and
Probably around about the same time.
yeah, I mean there was some,
Late
maybe
70s, early 80s.
yes, I think maybe even the 60s. Like it's black and white, and I think it's black and white, and it's yeah, it's you deal with the same problems. You think of going to space, you think of all the uncertainty in space. Like your spacesuit ripping, and same underwater. It's a very unnatural place to be, but yet, and as the wife says, what's her name? Not Gabrielle. What's the
Isn't
wife's
it
name?
Annette?
Annette. Yeah,
Yeah.
she says like where men will go, they will go. It's like she kind of says, well, there's no stopping man, even if it is so strange as the moon. Like, well, humans are just going to go there anyway, and so I guess that's what the center of the story is about. That humans are just going to go to these extreme places, and there are these contrasts. So that's my first take. Oh, and one more thing, and oh wait, we didn't even talk about where the author's from.
Is he from Australia?
No, he's not.
New Zealand.
Well, his name is Isaac Asimov.
Yeah,
So what? They
definitely
can we know
Australia.
Asimov's in New Zealand?
Nah, just no.
I mean, it is very much a kind of Polish, kind of
Australian.
Russian. Australian kind of surname. But I'm assuming he's not. So I think he didn't we think that he might have immigrated to the US?
He's American. I don't even know where he was
Is
born.
he a born and bred American, or is he welcome to our shores American?
I'm gonna call him American, regardless. Yeah. I think
American.
this story this story is definitely shaped like as the American. Or mind you, the Soviets wanted to had their aspirations of the moon, didn't they? So I
Yep.
guess that translates quite well. Anyway, okay, so the other thing I found interesting, and this is just my proclivity, is that like the meanings of names. So his name is Demarest, which to me is like, well, it's such a strange name. Okay, Demarest. Well, it rhymes with Everest, so like mountain. Bergen means mountain, and I'm thinking, okay, so mountain, these heights.
Mhm.
That's the thing is as far as I could go. And then I was thinking, well, Demarest, Demur.
Well, I
Okay,
mean, if you think of the time when this was written, which was the 70s, early 70s, right? I mean, it's I can't remember the exact dates of the Cold War, but this is probably just pre-Cold War era.
mm,
Um, so just, I mean, if you look at the politics of that time, it's it's not a bit it's not a very far stretch of the imagination to kind of superimpose different political entities on these characters.
mm.
Bergen is a Scandinavian name.
Yep, but it means mountain.
No, I
Oh,
know that, but
sorry, yeah.
well, I don't know that, but I can see that.
I knew a girl
But
called Bergen once.
there's
That was her
a
first
city
name.
in Norway, isn't there?
Yeah, it's a Viking Scandinavian name, that's correct.
Yeah. So I don't see how this has any relation to Russia and the US, and like they're. I feel like he just chose names.
Oh yeah, maybe, but
No, no,
I'm
not the names. Not the names have a connection to the of what was going on. Just the portrayals and the scenes in the book.
well, okay, so in the story when he goes in the Blade Escape and he goes down, he makes reference to the Iliad,
Mm.
which is the great war between I don't know, the Trojans and the Athenians, I want to say, but I'm probably wrong. No, who was it? No,
The Athenians and
Definitely the Trojans because it, like Achilles and well, he says Ajax, and Ajax is one of the the amazing soldiers. But so it's the poem from Ajax and or
yeah,
Ajax.
Ajax Prayer.
Yeah, and it does the contrast between the space, the sky, and the sea, and the sort of the horizon, the divide between the two, and so you immediately get that sense of the two different worlds, and
Yeah,
the fact that he's entering the other world.
no reference to a post box whatsoever, so it already had my attention.
Yeah, no, everything seemed to fit. Yeah, there was nothing out of ordinary with extra meaning in this story.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah, but that part from the Iliad really fitted in quite well, especially at the start of the book
it was
or the
poetic.
story.
Yeah. Um.
Quite like that. And then also I want to refer to him as like the taxi driver, but the little submersible driver,
Jab.
Javin.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah,
Persian. Was
yeah,
that sounded a bit out of the ordinary too, right? Like why?
yeah. It's a very specific ethnic background to meet this moon person.
So taxi driver, a lot of Persian taxi drivers, and
Yeah,
But then he made the point. He said like, no, nationalities don't matter anymore. You're all Earth people, or
yep,
and that maybe just thinking about it now, kind of drives home the fact that the Moon Men maybe feel like the outsiders because the deep ocean is on Earth, and if they all think of them as Earth beings and not nationalities per se, um, the Moon Men are the other now,
yes,
which just highlights his feelings of exclusion.
and they're physiologically different. They're like taller and skinnier because of the gravity.
yeah.
there,
They
right?
literally are alien.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they've been genetically modified. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. And all right, so good discussion about that, and let's talk about the interaction or the discussion, the lengthy. Because yeah, it does. It's like this conversation that build up. You're told at the beginning, like he knows. He says he knows he's on a mission. And there's,
Yeah. And the last time he's going to see the sun, he knows
yeah.
he's going to die. Yeah.
Mm,
Dun dun
I
dun.
mean, he did quite a good job in hiding what the real nature of his visit was.
like the
Mm.
motivation, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even with the motivate, just in terms of motivating the lunar people to send him there.
Mm,
I mean, he must have, pulled the story out of his hat quite nicely to swing that.
let's. Yeah, it's interesting because he's Why would they send a safety engineer? Like, well, he's on he's like a man. What do you call it? Like not a man on a mission, but yeah, I mean, he's on his own mission. He's not doing
Yeah.
like
I mean,
it's not
he's
orders.
still there under diplomatic
Yeah,
purposes
yeah. To fi-
to discuss contracts or something.
Yeah, but he just takes it all into his own hands, and it's interesting because he's a safety engineer, but he's gone with in mind to be destructive for the greater
Yeah,
good. And
to
the
break
whole by any means necessary, we have to save the moon people. It's a bit of a I won't say it, but a
yeah,
peaceful moon man on a mission. Yeah,
not such a peaceful movement.
no, that's another story. And yeah, where are the moomin from? Let's,
I don't know. Are they from Muma?
let's not go there. All right.
Where all the Moomies come from?
um. All right. All right. So let's. Yeah. Okay. I'll do this then. The title of the story is Waterclap, and I couldn't help but feel okay. So there's a bit of the hard science with talking about the atmospheric pressure, or how many atmospheres between, and the significance of when he comes out of the scaife into the city, goes through what do you call that sort of
Through the
chamber,
airlock.
the airlock, yeah, the chamber, and so when like it really makes a point about how this transition from it, and the water clap, this loud slam. Even when he's told about it, he's still shocked to hear it when it happens. He was forewarned, but he still felt not surprised, but yeah, it still frightened him a bit. So,
Yeah.
do you guys? I felt like the author was it was important to the author that he mentioned that, and then he went into detail. Do you guys have take anything from that?
Well, I think it made sense in the context of the fact the character kept asking about the safety features and the weaknesses, and it was all kind of in line with the fact that protagonist dude was obsessed with that feature of deep ocean.
Mm,
So it didn't stand out as a reader because it just seemed to be in keeping with his character that he would be obsessed with this airlock and how they manage things and how they keep everyone safe because they'd had that accident. So it didn't stand out to me, and it made sense when they likened it to thunder. Because even during a storm, you'll still be surprised by thunder, even though you're expecting it.
yeah.
Yeah, it was for me. I just thought, this guy's obviously the safety engineer on a lunar base, and yet he still knew so little of the underground of the deep ocean city. Um, you'd think that you're going down there, particularly the character of engineers. They would want to know how everything worked
Yeah.
beforehand. I mean, they wouldn't wait until they got there and then
Well,
start
he wants to
finding out.
find out, and and I think there's a good point to go to. You know, when they talk about the manual controls, and he goes, "Oh yeah," because they've had no problems, right? So they've zero accidents, no problems. And so he goes, "Oh, well, what about the manual controls?" I forget what it's called, but that's what it means, right? The system override. So controls, and
Yeah.
and then it's still got the plastic on it, right? From it's like, oh yeah, we've had it from the beginning, but we've just never used it because everything's flawless here, and so I
Yeah.
liked how that played into his like that would have frustrated. It's like you haven't had any problems here, like that just would
Yeah.
have graded him
That
hard.
must have been like, you know, that little thing that just drives you insane about a system.
Mm,
But I took his questions to kind of be confirming, right? Because he's got this plan in his head, and I took it that he had done his research, and he's kind of double checking, like, so that's where that is, and so that's what would happen if that was at fault, and if there was a issue here, that's what would happen. Like I took it that he was double checking that it would all go under if he did what he wanted to do. That's how I interpreted all his questions.
yeah.
But I do think, but then
Mm.
again, like the time as well. They'd only been in deep ocean for 20 years, and they'd been on the moon for, I think they said centuries or like decades or something.
I think it's decades, but
Yeah, at
longer.
least 30 years, wasn't it? No,
Yeah.
at
Oh.
least, what did he say his
Well,
age?
he
I can't
was
remember.
he was one of the first people to be born. He was one of the first I forget what they called them, but the moon people that were say because he was not from Earth, whereas his ancestors were.
Does it say he was one of the first? I thought it just said he was born there.
Yeah, I think it just said he was born there. I don't think it referred to him as one of the
Okay.
first. But yeah, the lunar base city had been there for, let's call it 100 years.
But
Yeah,
this,
I think it was like a century. But that's also part of it. So the fact that they had been there for longer,
mm,
the probability something's going to go wrong increases. Um, but I do agree that, yeah, they would be kind of, they kept talking about how nothing had happened and the probability being negligible.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think that probably combines. Yeah, the fact that they had no problems and it kind of made them look better or more viable, and then also having that what you just said on the other side about about sort of checking that if he's on a mission to blow everything up, it's like, yeah, cool. If I do this, then this is gonna happen, and and it was quite interesting to hear. Was it Bergen talk about how like the safety things, like yeah, if this goes, and then that, and then was it they're going to be locked in if the main place with the Waterclap, if that place goes, then they can seal it off, and all the people go into the other ones, but they have like only so much time until the air runs out, and then
Yeah.
and
It
then
is.
our guy is like, oh, well, they're gonna die anyway, so like what's with that? And he was a bit frustrated about that, and then Bergam just tried to justify it. It's like, well, it's better than at least they can spend a bit more time before just dying instantly, and so yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely a difference in the severity of well, accidents.
Mm,
Whereas, the moon being such a foreign concept, and you have, like they were referring there to, like there's one atmosphere difference.
mm,
So, you've got one atmosphere and a vacuum.
yeah.
Whereas underwater, they've got like one atmosphere and then like 1,000 atmospheres. So even the smallest, any kind of thing that happens, it's fatal. There's no like, oh, we'll close this pod and then we'll just, you know,
Mm.
fix it and then, keep going like they would do on the lunar bases. They would just, put up an airlock and, put on the little suits, go outside, fix the hole.
You can sort of
And
see where the money comes in there, where Bergen was kind of
yeah,
sort of trying to express how more money would help in that regards.
yeah. I mean, yes, it's not a perfect system, but it's also a do or die system. For them, that project is do or die.
Yeah.
Any kind of failure is catastrophic. There's no like, oh yeah, we lost 5 people.
Mm.
It's yeah, there was a failure and everyone's dead. And that's on your own planet. You didn't have to go to a different planet.
Yeah, because he makes the point of the fact that 20 people died, but he's like, your civilization isn't really affected because there's 1,000 people. So he tried to say, like, well, in the grand scheme of things, it's sad, but it's not terminal. Yeah, whereas it would be in deep ocean.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Earth is pretty hostile. I mean, it's not the safe little haven that we've created for ourselves today.
It's a jungle out there.
Yeah, I mean, at any time, earthquakes, volcanoes, anything can just.
Predators. Sorry.
Yep. Late deliveries. I mean, that's puts people's lives in danger.
Yeah, we essentially have the same sort of threat to security that they do, and which I think is interesting when you think about that sort of because they sort of talk about the human urge to want to go out, whether it is down deep or whether it is out into space. That's sort of the drive to do that. So, I mean, it kind of supports that. It's like, you know what? Well, we live on Earth where it's dangerous anyway. So, well, we should. Yeah, it's dangerous to go to space, but well, either way.
It's dangerous just waking up.
So, just to change the topic maybe a bit, it reminded me of WALL-E.
All right, go on.
Because they go to find somewhere else to live. Like we joined the ship that Eva came from.
Yeah.
To find if there was greener, new Earth, new life. But she goes back to a ship that is basically on this pointless, aimless journey to find somewhere else because humans have effed up Earth so much. Which is what Annette also says, kind of like to clean up all the trash from the 20th, which I thought was very adorable, that they think in the 21st century things will get better.
Yeah.
But it reminded me of WALL-E in that, we've made such a mess of this, let's go find somewhere new. As if there was a planet B.
Yeah. I don't think we'll find a planet B in a hurry.
No.
We're
gonna clean up our own.
I think we'll find a planet, and we'll probably have to terraform, and it'll be kind of like the deep city.
Yeah.
I think chances are more likely than not we'll find a deep city before we have another, kind of a lunar station.
I think it's more likely that we'll become extinct and other animals will take over in just the natural evolution of, cycle, not necessarily that there'll be a new man. But no, I think we're going to mess things up so bad for ourselves we won't be able to live here. Because technology won't advance quickly enough. But that's just me. I'm a happy-go-lucky kind of chap.
You know what? I'm just filling my glass up to just past the halfway mark, and I'm feeling pretty optimistic about nature and its ability to correct things for us. So I'm going to put nature above humans and sort of suggest that nature's going to fix the world. I'm on nature's side. Whatever nature does.
The world will reset the balance. Whether it's massive earthquakes, whether it's massive volcanoes, whether it's plague, whether it's flooding.
Waterworld, another movie reference.
Well, okay, that reminds me. Ride the Tiger. That means that's what we've got to do. Ride the Tiger. You got to go. If we got to survive, Ride the Tiger. It's a good book. I recommend it.
Ride the Tiger.
Yeah.
The Life and Times of Tiger King.
No.
Life of Pi?
Oh man,
Which Tiger book?
3 books in 3 sentences. That's epic. I don't know how we did that.
Tiger.
Tiger King, the
Oh,
story. That is definitely a failure of humanity. That.
all right. Or anything? Is there anything else we can talk about this story? That anything else that stuck out to you guys, or
Um, I like the. I mean, like I said to you this morning, that where it builds up to that point.
right? Yeah, we can talk
Um,
about the climax. Yeah, let's do a
yeah,
little. Let's do it now.
that climax really, it really happened quite quickly.
Yeah,
I mean, if you think of the boring kind of babbling that they did before that,
yeah.
and then it's lunch and it's coffee and then all of a sudden, you know,
Yeah, what are you saying? Like, say something. You're just telling me like it's a
where
thing, and I get it, I
where
get it.
Demarest just decides to lay his cards on the table.
Yeah, man. Well, just say what happens.
Well, he
They
decides
eat
that,
chicken a la king.
Mm.
yeah, he hates Chicken a la King. That was it. That was the last story. His
That's
inner
pretty.
turmoil becomes external,
All right.
and he decides to take the figurative laser in his pocket out
Yeah.
and to show us what he's got
Well,
and the his plan and his rationale behind destroying, well, not even destroying, just creating an accident.
Yeah, which would destroy. I think
I mean,
destroy
yeah,
is
for
that.
him, obviously he doesn't understand that it would destroy, but he just wants to create an accident record. He wants
He
to
does.
tarnish their safety record. That's all he wants to do.
He does understand it would destroy it. He does. Because he's like, I didn't want there to be a pregnant woman, but there is, and it's
yeah,
like, oh well, you're all gonna die. I think he totally understood what he was doing, but
yeah,
he wanted it to look like an accident. That's all.
yeah. The stakes were pretty high, and he did Annette bring it? Did she? Is she the one that says like, and you're willing to shoot a pregnant woman? Or is it because it's in the that's in the story? I'm trying to think. Was it him or was it Annette that says, and you're willing to shoot a pregnant woman? But so I mean, well, that just illustrates like the stakes. Like he was there, he'd gone all this way, and you go. I guess if you go anywhere that far, you'd feel almost compelled to attempt to try to complete your mission. But
Yeah, because we don't know how long he's been spent going over this, and like psyching
mm,
himself up, and like petitioning to be able to even make the trip with his superiors and with deep ocean. So like it's
mm,
been a long old argument by the sounds of it. So yeah, he's not going to stop now. Like, oh, you happen to be knocked up? Oh, okay, never mind. I'll just forget the whole past year.
yeah, yeah. So that just illustrates the stakes. It's like boom, it's there. He's doing it. But and then this is where okay, this is maybe where I'm gonna take put some negatives on the story where you just sort of expect like the trigger is just ready to be pulled or the laser trigger, whatever it is, because that the stakes are there, and yet she goes, "Well, will you just give me 1 minute to give my side of the story?" And then it turns out she bullshits, right? She goes,
Yeah,
"I'm from the council on Earth." That's
See,
yeah, there you go. And and actually, I'm the one who gives out the money, and so it's that she gets right at his motivation, where is having second thoughts, and like it's kind of it's interesting because it definitely was quite clever for the character to go at his motivation, because someone we've seen obviously a lot of terrorists in the last 20 years. you know y they just go through with their mission because they're so deluded, and they're so what is it, invested in completing the mission. Like if you're 99% of the way of completing like a suicide mission, you're probably gonna do it, right? But the fact that she could get to him and get him to not do it and relent, or is that the right word? That to not do it, and then okay, and then what I found even more interesting, it was like maybe this is what pissed me off the most actually was when Bergen was like, well, maybe I'm because they talk to each other right at the end, and then she admits to Bergen that she bullshitted, and then he says, actually,
I
I'm
know.
yeah, I'm
Yeah,
from the count. What is it called, Sarah?
PCC.
PCC. That's crap. But yeah, okay, the PCC. The I'm just gonna call it the council that distributes money to investment
Yeah,
to
it's the Planetary Commission.
yeah the commission. All right. So he is. Then he goes, haha, it was actually I, and
Yeah, that's what pissed me off too.
yeah. So
And he
Because
is, and then his like reasoning is so piss poor.
yeah,
yeah,
it's
no, because
just yeah. Go on.
it was just kind of like the author alludes to being like, kind of pro-feminist, being like, haha, we've got this crazy vocal woman who's like, well, women matter too, I'm gonna
Yeah.
give birth no matter what you say. And it's kind of like Bergen is cast to be like this understanding yet apologetic husband, kind of like, oh, that's what she's like. And then you at the end, you're kind of like, woohoo, yeah, the woman's figured it out. The woman is actually the one with power. She's not just this baby making machine that's kind of like determined to make something, like literally and figuratively.
Mm.
And then it turns out we're like, haha, no, women are just like sometimes clever, like we also have our uses. And I was just like, F off. Like, no, why didn't it had to change like that? It seemed like an unusually comic ending to this story that didn't seem very funny for the entire duration of it.
All
Like, it
right.
was an unnecessary twist.
Yeah, actually, and I thought about this yesterday, and now that's just reminded me of it. I was thinking to ask you guys here, did you, based on that scenario or that situation, do you guys have, did you guys, were you guys left hanging on sort of an alternative ending that might have sort of, rounded it off a bit better?
I
Maybe,
think if she
yeah,
had actually just been the member of the PCC,
yeah,
um, then I would have liked that so much more, because
mm,
it was like she wasn't played up much more than just being the wife who's determined to have a baby in deep ocean for the first time and create an actual life here. There was actually more to her being there than just this I don't know, this figure of, yes, I'm aware of feminism, and yes, I accept it, I acknowledge it, I should say. Like, I think that would have been a nice twist, because the conversation was between what's his face and Bergen, and they were kind of like the two figureheads for their two worlds, and she was just there as this kind of third, this this addition, whereas
mm.
this would have given her a real purpose in the story, rather than just kind of a nice person to banter with, if that makes sense. Kind of like she would have had a reason to be in the story, not just to be
Well,
like, new life matters.
yeah, I mean, I'd say, I mean, the story does credit her with, being the actor that prevents the disaster. So, on one hand, she gets the credit for that, but then I definitely agree that the way it was handed off to Bergen, it
Yeah,
was
it's like it's
so,
undermined.
yeah, it was just so sort of underwhelming. It was just like, yeah, nah, like
Sure, he
just
still didn't have the resolve to come up with the reason why, the reasoning for this, to convince this madman that he shouldn't blow them all up.
And
yeah.
even at the end, it was like, I don't know, it just felt like a comic kind of ending. He's like, well, actually, I'm a member of the PCC, and I'm going to take that idea. But you do have your uses.
And that's M. Night Shyamalan. That guy. That's what he does in all of his movies.
Shyamalan.
And Shyamalan. Yeah. No. So that's a director that I dislike. But that's another conversation. But so yeah. So to add my twist on that. Yeah. I would have liked not only for her to have been the member of the PCC, and you
Love
know,
that.
yes, and to sort of have sort of like to finish with her like a monologue of just like because I really liked the way that she described that men will go where they will go, and
Hmm.
and if it had been her, and then she had done like sort of an outro on that note, for me that just would have finished the story quite nicely, and I guess that's me for the story. Dean, do you have anything on
I would have
that?
liked to have seen the bad guy win. I'm quite a fan
Okay.
of,
Okay.
you know,
You know
making the
what?
world burn
That
around him.
fits.
But yeah, I would have liked to see old Luna Boy, you know, take a ride on the old rocket ship and blow them all up.
Or there's part of me that wanted like the dome city to collapse and just. There was a part of me that wanted that, but then I don't know what the takeaway would have been from that, except for just like, yeah, we
Yeah,
live.
and
It's
and
strongly
then
enough,
cut
kids.
away to like 6 months later, all lunar funding cut, and they become you know a pirate nation, rebelling against Earth, and the first interplanetary war starts. I mean, that's actually that's some good writing.
That's volume 2.
Yeah, right. Um. Okay. Okay. I think we're done, and let's go. You know what? I've got something special for us today. I've got a
Chocolate.
yeah, no. Score. I got. We can we can give a score now, and um. Yeah, who wants to go first? We've done a lot of talking, but
Let's see.
Sarah, are you gonna be first? Okay.
Sure. Let's
Yeah.
see. What number am I feeling? Out of 500, I'm gonna give it 375.
Oh, that's very close to what I was thinking.
375. Okay. Let me see if I can get it into OBS. It's my first time to do it. Oh yeah, it works. Nice. Okay. All right, Dean, you're up next.
Okay, last week I feel I was a little overly generous, um, with quite a high score. So let's keep it real this time. Let's go with a 350.
350. Okay. Now I'm going to. I don't know. So I don't know what I'm doing, but in OBS I am updating this stuff. So Dean score. I need a faster way to do it, but here it is. I got it up. Nice. Okay, me. Now I was as we
No,
were
I'm gonna
talking.
let that slide.
You guys listen.
Some low-hanging fruit.
You guys love it. Okay, now when as we were getting through our discussion today, I started to warm to the story, and I was thinking, oh man, like something in the 400s. I was thinking, you know what, this is kind of a good story. And then when I realized that actually the ending was kind of a bitter pill, and it was still a good story, right? But I sort of thought, you know what, I can't go 400. So today I'm gonna go 387, and it's it's a bit on the high side, considering had that bitter feeling. So 387, and let me put that into OBS. Let me see. Do I know how to do it? Gotta push. Yeah, there we go. Now, I told you guys that there was going to be something special today. That we're going to have an aggregate score. I don't know if you have a calculator, but I've got this other button. Apparently, uh, what's happened there? That's not right. I don't want decimals. Do you guys mind if I don't want decimals. Hang on. How do I get rid of decimals? What is...
Get the gun.
What? Yeah, I know. What? Hey. I hate Excel. Excel is... Oh, there we go. What? It just lowered the decimal. No. Just number.
What is that average
Oh,
score?
wait, here it is. Okay, I
You
got
gonna
it.
edit this out?
Nah, I can't because I don't know how to. But, okay. So, now I've done it. It's all done. The aggregate score is... Boom, it's 371. I don't know what that means, but that's just the aggregate score. And then maybe we can compare it with the other books we read. But, it's kind of a flat note. I thought it was gonna be. I thought it was gonna be. Oh yeah, so we do.
Drum roll,
Oh,
please.
trumpets. I've already revealed it. It's 371.
Ba, 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 ba.
300 and your score for the okay. Waterclap by Isaac Asimov. The aggregate score by your esteemed readers, Stephen, Sarah, and Dean, is wait, trumpets.
Ba, 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 ba.
371. And how does it rate? I don't know because it's the first aggregate we've done, so it's just that's it. Oh, okay. This is how we end it, isn't it? Sarah's picked the story for next week. You haven't told us yet. It's gonna be a surprise to everyone. Sarah, what is it?
So it's called The Shape of My Name, by what was it? Nino Copti, I think is their name. But yeah, it's written in 2015, so it's the most modern thing for.
Is it Finnish? What kind of name is that?
No, I have a feeling that they are American, but I couldn't find very much about them.
They could be Australian though, right?
Probably not. They're educated in the U.S.
Oh,
and
you,
may have noticed.
you could have finished that they were educated.
So
That's a bad sign.
they did a master's program.
It's worse. It's terrible.
So did I. What are you saying?
Oh no, I'm in trouble. Oh dear.
Pull up, pull up.
Get in the scave. Get in the scave.
Well,
Bookkeeping,
can you guys stop
bookkeeping.
babbling? I'll tell you more. You may have noticed the pronouns I'm using.
What?
It's because they have chosen to use the pronouns they because they are gender non-binary, which gives you a little bit of an insight into one of the themes of the story.
AI? Artificial intelligence?
No,
Oh, you
but
told
there
me.
is time travel.
You told me time travel. Yeah, okay, so time travel. Okay.
But yeah, I'll share it with you guys after. I'll send you the website. You can read it.
Cool. So that's what's the title of the story again?
So the shape of my name or shape of a name. One of those.
One of. All right. Well, we'll find out next week. The shape of a name or the shape of my name or. That's what we read next week, and that's the end. Oh, we've got to do like a goodbye. No, we'll just end it.
Bye.
I like it. Dean.
Bye.
All right. See ya.